It's time once again for That Business Show with Jamie and Kelly. That Business Show gives a voice to Tampa Bay's entrepreneurial community and highlights our community leaders, aiming to inspire and educate our listeners. Become a part of the entrepreneurial movement today by becoming a member of the Tampa Bay Business Owners and get your brand on air today. Visit TampaBayRadio.com for more information. All shows available on demand. Now, here are your hosts, Jamie and Kelly.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the start of the second hour of That Business Show. Now with Jamie and Kelly, where business becomes show business. If you ever miss a program, we do make the program available all across the internet, including iTunes, and it's also up now on Google Play as a podcast. So people that aren't familiar with Google, they do have an alternative to iTunes, so to speak. I'm just learning about the platform myself, but the podcast now available over on Google Play as well. Also, all shows are streamed here live in studio, and so you can see those by visiting TampaBayRadio.com, and they're put up on our YouTube channel by the hour shortly thereafter airing each of the programs. So if you go to youtube.com/Jamie Meloni, you can see the high definition videos, and we would appreciate if you would subscribe to the channel as well. On this segment of the program, we're going to be talking about banking with the ladies from USAmeriBank. We have Katherine Wright in studio. She's a Senior Vice President and Retail Market Manager, alongside Leslie Bridges, Vice President and Relationship Manager. And you can learn more about them over at USAmeriBank.com, USAmeriBank.com. So Katherine and Leslie, welcome to the program this morning.
Thank you.
So, Katherine, I will begin with you, just some of the basics about USAmeriBank.
Well, we've been around since February 2007. We're a local independent bank headquartered in Clearwater with more than $4 billion in assets. We're the largest headquarter bank in the Tampa Bay area.
And is this considered, I guess you could call this a community bank then,
it is
right?
A community bank.
Community banks, I've had this discussion with Alex Sanchez, who was in charge of banking on a high up level. I remember having this discussion. But retail, community banks are getting eaten up by all the large banks out there. How is it that USAmeriBank is able to survive as a local community bank right now?
Well, with us being local here in Pinellas and Hillsborough County, the owners of the bank like that feel-good relationship-building bank, and keeping us just in the community and going strong.
What are some of the products that you offer over there at USAmeriBank? Do you do traditional mortgages and business lending? Just the basics about some of the products that you offer.
Yep. We offer craft banking is what we like to call it.
Craft banking. I've not heard that. Banking. I've heard of craft breweries.
Yes, just like that.
Not craft banking. What's craft banking?
Craft banking, where we craft the accounts to the customer's needs. And whether it's a consumer or a commercial business customer.
Isn't that kind of a challenge to do, though, with banking? Because there's only so much you can do. It's not like, you're making a meal and you can create all kinds of different ingredients, inputs. With banking and with checking, how many different, how customized can you get a customer with a bank, so to speak?
Well, based on the customer's needs and what they're looking for, we have the products we can offer them. Businesses, we take a look at what they have currently and fit them into the right products to help with their cash management needs.
Okay.
Through Treasury Services and
because I know that, I just know in general, banking is just one of those things that, from a consumer standpoint, I think everybody kind of sees it, very similarly. So what I'm kind of getting at is, how do you differentiate yourself to the general consumer out there? Now, I know when you start, running businesses and you build up a lot of assets, there are some distinct differences between the banks. But to the consumers who you're competing with for just that savings and checking account, how do you go out there and compete for that type of a business?
I'm going to say it's about the relationship. So we offer that personalized service, and I want to say that we get to know the customer by name. They enjoy coming into our branches. We say hello, call them by name. We offer specials, CD specials, money market specials a couple times a year to raise capital. So
no, I mean that's a good answer
yeah.
because that's I asked that question of a lot of the bankers that have been through here, and it is about the relationship because it can be difficult to compete for just that savings account, that checking account, because the consumers see banks very similarly. But there are some distinct differences between the banks as you get into operating a number of assets or running a business. Talk to us about the different locations and how many you have. 28 retail banking offices. How are they distributed across the area?
Well, we've got 13 between Hillsborough and Pinellas, 7 in Pinellas, 6 in Hillsborough, soon to be 7. We found a location in Lakeland that we're getting ready to open. And then we've got 15 in central Alabama.
Oh, what's the connection to Alabama? Is that just part of the path, I guess, since we border Alabama, right? Yeah, we do. So.
It was Alliant Bank.
Lion Bank.
Right.
I never heard of Lion Bank.
Alliant
Bank.
Bank.
Okay, so
yeah.
USAmeriBank acquired Alliant Bank.
Correct.
So is USAmeriBank's goal then to move, outside of Florida, outside of the Tampa Bay region, or is that just
Not at this time?
Not at this time.
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. So you say your success has been built around your bankers. Tell us about this. What do you mean by this?
Well, just for instance, I've been in the banking industry about 37 years, and I'm banking clients. I retired from Bank of America, and I'm banking clients that have been in my portfolio for a decade, if not more, 20 years. So the bank looks for a team of bankers to put a branch, and that's kind of I was in St. Pete. And so they asked if I would come on board and open the St. Pete location 6 years ago. And just my clients have followed all of the teams around. And, wherever they came from, whatever bank they came from, those clients followed. You
left Bank of America to come to USAmeriBank, or was that just you thought that you were retiring and they brought you back in? How did you go from one bank to the other?
The department I was in was dissolved. So back in 2009.
Oh, okay. As a result, maybe of Dodd-Frank, I know a lot of the regulations that came down. Yeah. I sell bank-owned properties, and I know when the Dodd-Frank regulations came through, just that one little facet of banking really changed the industry. I couldn't imagine what it was like on the inside and everything. And so it's far beyond the scope of the conversation what Dodd-Frank did to the banking industry right now. But I know it looks like you experienced it firsthand, unfortunately, and everything.
Yes, yeah. Very happy where I'm at now.
All right. You say now, as a highly capitalized bank, you have the financial stability to help a business at every stage of its growth and offer timely technologies and tools for customers to manage their day-to-day cash management functions. Are you going after the small business owners here in Tampa Bay right now?
Absolutely.
What are you seeing in terms of the entrepreneurial community in Tampa Bay versus maybe some of the other markets and other times throughout the last 10 years that you've served? It's my belief that we're in a very, good time for business owners to, build up a community, build up their business. There's a lot of entrepreneurs out there in the community right now. One of the reasons why I do this program every day. What are you seeing out there with the entrepreneurs?
That is right on. Absolutely. I mean, it is crazier than ever.
Come a little bit closer to the microphone. There you go.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It is crazier than ever out there. There's a lot of entities that are growing, businesses that need money, that are buying the real estate, and we are just having a great year.
And Leslie, is your focus on the lending area of the bank? Tell us, so since we have primarily business owners that listen to the program, tell us a little bit about some of the offerings that a business owner can get through USAmeriBank in the process.
Sure. We kind of offer it all. We do owner-occupied, non-owner-occupied real estate. We do lines of credit. We do a lot of SBA lending. We've been the #1 SBA lender for a few years in a row now. Very robust, have an expert team in place that knows the program, and it gets a bad rap because if you're dealing with a bank that doesn't necessarily know the program, it makes it a very unhappy time and cumbersome times.
How restrictive or not restrictive is SBA lending right now versus 5 years ago? Is it getting more easy to get business financing out there, or is it similar?
It's always like a maze, honestly, because the guidelines change quite often. So you have to be doing a lot of SBA lending to know the experience, what's out there, what the guidelines are, what's eligible, what's ineligible, and that makes us.
Does it matter the type of business with regard to an SBA loan? Can you be in a fashion business, a tech business? It really doesn't matter the type of business with an SBA loan.
No, they rule out a few, but most businesses are.
It's really about the business plan and the financials. Can somebody step into a USAmeriBank and get a business loan on a company that's right now just in their head and is on paper as a plan? Because a lot of banks want to see a couple years of history, some financials behind it. But if it's all in your head and it's on paper and it looks good, I mean, are you going? And maybe it's the their first business. If they have a track record of working in the industry, can they get a business loan?
You know what, that is, we get asked that a lot, and that's great to ask. We have done some startups. The startups, we're looking really at the guarantor, their experience, what they've done in the industry. It is hard if you're going to a completely new industry and you don't have any outside income, but for people that have learned the industry and have taken the time, put their homework in, we have done startups.
What's the time frame then for a typical business loan to from inception to funding with regard to the application process? I know probably nobody comes to you with a perfect application file with regard to a business loan, but nonetheless,
absolutely.
How long do they generally take from the time they say, I'd like to borrow X amount of dollars from you?
A conventional loan, we can get it done in a month, not a problem. An SBA loan normally takes 2 to 3 months, depending.
What's the main difference between SBA and conventional? I know that SBA is government insured, but do they just want more documents, more underwriting? What goes into an SBA loan that does not go into a conventional?
Yeah, so when you're looking at an SBA application, you'd be looking for maybe you don't have enough loan collateral, and that would be a great SBA loan request because banks obviously like loan collateral. So an SBA loan, you don't have to have as much.
Can somebody use their retirement, a 401k, as a collateral for a small business loan?
Not straight up.
Not straight up? What do you mean not straight up?
Yeah, there are ways to convert it to make it help you with an SBA loan.
Okay, so just having it sitting in a 401k and saying, I got $500,000 sitting there, I'm going to use that as a collateral. You can't just say that.
No.
What do you? So there's do you have to cash it out?
No, I haven't had one. But I know we've done some at the bank within our SBA department, but there is a way to convert the money where it stays in there, but it's eligible.
Okay, so there is a way, but it's not just having it sitting in a 401k to say, okay, I got money in my 401k, that's my collateral. Okay,
Absolutely.
Makes sense. What type of companies does USAmeriBank work with?
We really look at all companies. We don't look at the industry as much as the individual. So we're really looking at the business owner because they are the business. We get to know them a little bit, and if we like them, we understand what they're doing, and we believe in them, and we want to help them.
Catherine, did you want to elaborate a little bit on that? The type of companies that you work with? Slide the microphone on over to her, please.
Well, I'm going to say there isn't any one specific. Like Leslie mentioned, we try to help everyone that comes to us, and we look at the whole picture and get to know the customer. And so some industries that we work with is a blind company, pool companies, chiropractors.
What do you want USAmeriBank to be known for? I mean, do you want to be known as the Entrepreneurs Bank? Do you want to be known as the Home Lending Bank? Do you just want to be known as the Community Bank? I mean, what image is USAmeriBank putting out to the community?
A community bank that builds relationships.
All right. Good point there, or good branding line, I would say. So let me take a break here. Currently talking to Katherine Wright, Senior Vice President and Retail Market Manager, and Leslie Bridges, Vice President and Relationship Manager. And you can learn more about their services over at USAmeriBank.com. You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie and Kelly, where business becomes show business.
What's up, business rock stars? Are you ready to bring out the CEO in you? Join Julianne Nichols, CEO of Focus on You Strategy, every other Friday on That Business Show. She'll be talking with other chief entrepreneurial officers about how they grew their businesses. Remember, you could join the conversation at Focus on You Strategies Focus Fridays Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Focus Fridays. That's facebook.com/groups/Focus Fridays. Be the CEO of you. Did you know the biggest challenge business leaders face today is creating an engaged and productive workforce culture? Bill Meyer Ham Consulting wants to help you solve this challenge. They will help you transform your workforce culture to produce amazing business results. Call Bill Meyer Ham Consulting at 941-201-4650 today or visit BillMeyerHam.com. That's BillMeyerHam.com. Have a conversation.
I knew Mom wanted to stay at home. It's the center of her family, her life. But helping Mom stay in her home while managing mine was just too much. Honestly, it wasn't just about me. Mom didn't want me to be her caretaker. She wanted me to be her daughter. I felt so alone until I found out about Home Instead Senior Care. When we met the people at Home Instead, we just knew they were different. The experience was personal. And most importantly, for Mom and me, I get to be her daughter again.
Home Instead Senior Care. To us, it's personal.
In an age when the good and the better vie for attention, it is the best that stands out. The best of Tampa Bay from Proudly Florida is the love story for the city of Tampa, celebrating success, sharing achievements, a tribute to enterprise and community spirit. Let Proudly Florida showcase your business to your city, your nation, and the world. For more information, email info@proudlyflorida.com and be sure to visit proudlyflorida.com.
How many times have you said to yourself, I wish there was an app for that? Stop wishing and start making the world better. Turn your brilliant idea into a profitable business by using Popcorn apps. Their affordable app design will help get your blue sky idea or proven business to the next level at a fraction of the cost of other developers. They will help you get through all the steps needed to make your thoughts become live. See them at popcornapps.com with a K in popcorn, or call them at 727-415-6705 for your free consultation and pop your kernel of an idea into $1 million business and a world changer starting today.
Teresa Turner is a certified public accountant and the founder of Tax Happens, a boutique-style CPA firm providing small businesses and individuals with hands-on, personalized tax and accounting services. Although we would love to tell you how happy their clients are, we would like you to see for yourself. Tax Happens has 21 Google reviews and a 4.8-star Google rating, 17 Yelp reviews and a 5-star Yelp rating, 38 Facebook reviews and a 4.9-star Facebook rating. What sets Tax Happens apart is number 1, upfront pricing, 2, clear deadlines, 3, personally available year-round, and number 4, a willingness to empower clients to do as much or as little as they desire. Visit taxhappens.com for more information. At Vein 911, we will help you feel great again. Do you have restless legs, night leg cramps, or ankle swelling? Restless legs, cramping, swelling, and tired heavy legs are often symptoms of hidden vein disease. You do not have to have visible bulging veins to have the symptoms of vein disease. The vein care specialists at Vein 911 are uniquely qualified to evaluate and treat your veins. Are you unhappy with your previous vein treatment? Vein 911 succeeds where others fail. Call Vein 911 today at 855-VEIN-911. That's 855-834-6911 to book your free consultation. Vein 911. We will help you feel great again.
From the Spectrum Traffic Center.
Also, good news for drivers in Tarpon Springs. Southbound US 19 has been reopened at Tarpon Avenue, though traffic still stretching back through Holiday, so expect delays through this area. And still a couple lanes blocked in the northbound direction. Westbound I-4 slow from 301 to 275. Crash on westbound State Road 52 at 75. One on southbound Dale Mabry south of Bush. And one being cleared on 54 at Collier Parkway. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson Uterick Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by the Foundation for a Better Life.
While many rose up with violence, he sat down for peace. Mahatma Gandhi reached out with the strength he cultivated within his soul. So, pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
Today, mostly sunny, cool, and dry with a high 68. Tonight, mostly clear, low 45. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high 75.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie and Kelly on 1250 Winds WHNZ. Missed the show? Then head over to TampaBayRadio.com, where all shows are available on demand. Once again, here are your hosts, Jamie and Kelly.
And welcome back to That Business Show with Jamie and Kelly, where business becomes show business. If you're wondering how to get on the program, please visit tbsinterview.com. You can fill out the request form and see the requirements and also a lot of FAQs to the program. Currently talking to Katherine Wright, Senior Vice President and Retail Market Manager, alongside Leslie Bridges, Vice President and Relationship Manager, both with USAmeriBank. And you can learn more at USAmeriBank.com. And Leslie, let's go back to the lending side of the business. What are some things business owners should think about if they're looking to fund their growth?
Sure. It's always a great idea to speak to the bank early so we can understand what you're trying to do, let you know the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts, before you spend all your money or start on a project that might not work, in the timing of the loan application. And during the loan application, you'll be asked for the normal stuff, a few years of tax returns, both individually and on the business, interim statements, year-end statements, a little bit more information about your assets and liabilities.
How much more involved is a business loan than, say, a mortgage, for instance, in terms of document collection? I mean, other than just you got your corporate returns, but it probably, if you're getting a mortgage, you probably have to have a corporate return also if you're getting a home too. So
Absolutely.
What differs in terms of the business loan just with regard to document collection.
Mm-hmm. We spend more time on the business returns, really understanding the business and the cash flow than on a mortgage.
So like projections and budget are things that you're going to get into with a business loan. Obviously, you're not going to have that with a mortgage. So obviously, it's probably a good idea then to have a good accountant that can help you forecast and provide something that is logical and makes sense. How would you advise?
Absolutely. Depending on the nature of the loan request, we're going to really delve into the income and expenses on your balance sheet and profit and loss. We're really going to go line by line on that and understand what's involved. On an SBA loan, we're really going to look at the projections as well and see how did you derive at those numbers?
Right. Yeah, because I can imagine that you get into a lot of discussion about that was a business expense. No, that was really you and your wife going to dinner that evening. That really wasn't a business expense.
Absolutely. And if someone is buying a business, we need a breakdown of all those. We call those owner, the benefits of the existing owner.
Right.
Because those can get added back if the new owner is not going to receive those benefits.
Would you say that's kind of one of the more time-consuming aspects of the thing is really ascertaining what is a business expense versus a personal expense, for instance?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so sometimes when you look at it, it says, okay, I'm not sure if I can get this to work, but if you delve down, so you're really looking for a banker that can delve down and understand those types of things, and you may have a deal.
What should a business owner expect to provide in terms of collateral?
So the collateral on a regular loan, a conventional loan, is going to be property, equipment, inventory. On an SBA loan, there is not as much requirement collateral. So if you don't have it, it doesn't mean we can't make the loan on an SBA side.
Right. For a service-based business like a consulting business or a real estate business where there's less actual real estate and heavy equipment, investment, how does one provide collateral in that situation, or can they provide anything?
Sure. So sometimes you have an AR, an accounts receivable. Sometimes you have outside loan collateral, and sometimes it's just your experience and how well you've done in the business.
How often does it just come down to presentation? If they present something that is logical, well put together, comes in with a good business plan, has the right people in place, how often does the presentation hold weight versus their actual results in the business?
I think it holds a lot of weight because we're really getting to know the individual, their experience. They've done their research. They've done their homework. It doesn't make the deal, but it certainly has a high impact on it.
And what would you advise a business owner look for in a banker?
I think you really want them to know what they're doing, to have experience, to respond to your needs, and you really want to see that they're looking at everything and not just trying to squeeze you in the box, the credit box.
Katherine, I'll put it back over to you. Why does a bank branch still matter in today's day and age? It seems like everything's going online these days.
Yes, that's true. A lot of mobile banking is available to customers, but we find customers still like walking into a branch and being greeted by their bankers, especially by name. We actually have clients come in on purpose to see us because we bake cookies every morning.
Oh, no, that's good.
A lot of our branches do. And
except for us trying to lose some weight. Right?
Yeah, so that's, and some of our branches actually have fruit as well. But, and so they just like that feel, that greet and getting to know their banker and walking in. My job is to be out in the market, working in the community. So we all have about a team of 4 or 5 that stay in the branch to service our customers.
All right. Well, a good discussion, and hope the community got to learn a little bit more today about USAmeriBank. So Katherine Wright and Leslie Bridges, both of the USAmeriBank, thank you both so much for being in studio today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And learn more about them at USAmeriBank.com. And as always, learn more about the program over at TampaBayRadio.com. And if you'd like to come on to the program, please visit TBSinterview.com. Coming back from the break, we'll be talking about coaching with Laura Scott on That Business Show with Jamie and Kelly, where business becomes show business.
Hi, I'm Kelly Ham from Bill Meyer Ham Consulting. Did you know that one of the biggest challenges that leaders face is getting their employees to be engaged, motivated, and producing amazing business results? At Bill Meyer Ham Consulting, we'll help you transform your workforce culture from one that might be underperforming, maybe mediocre, to achieving amazing business results. You see, we realize that your workforce culture is equally as important as your business plan and your business strategy. The two must be aligned in order for you to reach your desired business and financial goals.
Carol,
hey, Jim.
I just got this plan that could really help with our process here.
Okay, why don't you just have a seat and let's go over it.
Let us help you transform your workforce culture by leveraging your most important assets, your people. I want to know what's going on in your organization. Let us help you transform your workforce culture. Let's have a conversation.
I feel guilty that I can't always be there when Mom feels stuck at home. She was always there for us. But now she can't get out, and I'm not always available to take her places. Someone else needs to help her get around. Then I learned about Home Instead. Now Mom can do what she enjoys because her personal caregiver is there, and I can just be a daughter again.
Are you struggling to care for your loved one? We can help. Home Instead Senior Care. To us, it's personal.
Post time 12:25. Tampa Bay Downs. Live it up at the Downs.
12:50 winds, weather center forecast. This cold morning will eventually warm up to around 70 degrees today. Sunshine in the skies, low 50s tonight. Mid-70s return tomorrow under sunny skies and back up near 80 by midweek. Impact Radio 1250 winds, WHNZ.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie and Kelly on 1250 Winds WHNZ. Missed the show? Then head over to TampaBayRadio.com, where all shows are available on demand. Once again, here are your hosts, Jamie and Kelly.
And welcome back to That Business Show with Jamie and Kelly, where business becomes show business. Kelly Wilson rejoins the conversation, so she is back. And she has one of her friends in studio today. So why don't you introduce her for
Actually,
us?
I'm very excited to have Laura Scott in the studio with us today. Laura is the president of 180 Coaching. She's also been a contributing writer for Edge Business Magazine. She's also a part of PT. Say it for me. PT Mind.
Mind PT.
Mind PT.
Yes. Yeah, and you had Kim on the show.
We
Kim
did.
Serafina on the show.
We
Isn't
did.
she an amazing woman?
She was. Yes.
She is. She is amazing.
So cool.
Laura's involved in a lot. She's brilliant at what she does. She's actually helped me quite a bit in regards to mindfulness and being aware of the moment and being right here, right now. And throughout the first few years of getting started in the industry and going to speaking presentations, Laura helped me kind of calm myself prior to speaking and just anything that you do. So welcome, Laura. Thank you for being here with us today.
Glad
I
to
could
be
keep
here.
talking, so I'll stop.
And you can learn more about her throughout the discussion at 180coaching.com. So, Laura, we hear a lot about leadership presence all the time, but what does that really mean?
I think leadership presence really is your ability to be conscious about how you show up as a leader every day. In the moment. And that's really hard because our brain doesn't want to go there. Our brain wants to ruminate over past behaviors or think about future stuff. And like Kelly said, just being in the moment, being in the now, being really intentional about what you bring to the table as a leader, is leadership presence.
And as we're trying to get our businesses going, and you know firsthand from sitting down with me, and I know many other clients that you've had, but it's so difficult because in our minds we're thinking about everything else going on. We're thinking about everything that we have to do today, just daily duties. We're thinking about everything that's going on in the business, our families, and everything. I could go on and on. You really helped me realize that that's all fine and dandy, but also being aware of right here and right now and what's going on in this moment and embracing that.
Now, 180 Coaching, do you center around business coaching with regard to leadership? Do you do life and personal coaching? Tell me just more about 180 Coaching.
I do everything because it's all about life at the end of it. But I focus on executive and leadership coaching, individuals, teams, entire company events. So I help companies actually program their offsites, their meetings, annual meetings and retreats, whatever you want to call them. And so I do a bit of everything, but I really, my My goal is to partner with your potential as an individual or as an organization and get you where you are, from where you are to where you want to be strategically.
What is your background? Did you come from a corporate environment and move into consulting? Have you always worked in consulting?
Well, I've actually always been a serial entrepreneur.
Really? Okay. What are some of the other ventures?
I was in the fashion business, had a couple of businesses in the fashion business, and then I was in the publishing business. And then I had a little marketing and communications firm.
Okay, so you've taken those experiences into consulting. A lot of times when we're talking with consultants, they come from HR and corporate and stuff. We've noticed the trend of that.
Right. No, absolutely not. It's always been, I had the opportunity to work with another gentleman as a one-on-one coach and had exposure to a very broad base of industries. And I coached everything from the Catholic diocese to ITT and Norfolk Southern and, major corporations. So it was a great experience, and I still build on that experience because it's just given me a broad base of exposure.
How many years now have you had the 180 coaching?
I have had 180 was doing business as 180 coaching for 5 years, but I've been a coach since the 1990s. So even before they called us coaches, I was a trainer/consultant, but basically I was doing coaching.
Who do you work with? Do you work with both men and women?
Men and women and organizations. So
who is your
nonprofit,
niche?
for-profit. I think mostly my niche is really just anybody who wants to be more strategic about how they show up as a leader.
Okay.
So I'm working with leaders that sometimes are moving up the org chart, and I sometimes joke, when you're moving up the org chart into the C-suite, it has less to do about doing and more about being.
Right. You mentioned you use two terms there some people may not be familiar with, org chart and C-suite. So explain those a little bit more.
Okay, the C-suite is really the executive suite. The
CEO, COO.
CFO, senior VPs. And so, the organizational chart is you go into management roles. You're really expected to really function as a mentor, a leader, a manager. So skills like giving feedback, which I've written an article on Edge for. These are important things. When you're just on the bottom of the org chart, you're really not giving a lot of feedback. But as you move up into leadership roles and management roles, you definitely need to know how to do that effectively.
Absolutely. Actually, in this issue coming up, Laura writes about delegation and priming your brain for trust, and which is key to what Dr. Eccles was talking about earlier in the show. So that is, everybody will see that and be able to read that very, very soon coming out. But she's just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Do all leaders have leadership presence naturally, or do they learn that over time?
I think there's a little bit of both. I mean, certainly leadership presence you're benefited if you have natural empathy. The empathy can be learned. So empathy is basically understanding what it's like to be in the other person's shoes in the same circumstance. So, but that is definitely something you can prime yourself and learn over time. And that really makes a difference to your ability to lead.
That's interesting you bring that up because I was reading an article just a couple weeks ago about CEOs at the very highest level. I'm talking about the people at the top of the most elite companies, and they all lacked empathy. That was a common trait amongst a lot of the leaders at that level. I mean, I don't know if you've studied people at that level, but how do they get to that point then without the empathy?
Well, they can and they did. But I think going forward, that's going to change. The old model of leadership was sort of a military style, directive, making the very hard choices without really taking other people into consideration. And it was all about, at the end of the day, the money. And especially in a public company, it's really hard. You've got to have every quarter, you've got to report out, and you better be looking good to the street, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of pressure there. But I'm working with a lot of interesting organizations now that have changed their business model a little bit in terms of their definition of success is a win-win-win. So everybody wins. And in order to craft a win-win-win, you really have to be empathetic about what the other person is needing and wanting and what feels like a win to them.
What does it take to master leadership presence then?
I think a lot of it is empathy, but also being aware of your hot buttons and triggers. Because a lot of times leaders come to me because they go, you know what? I had good intentions of doing the right thing, but then I got triggered. Right. Something blew up, and my default behaviors kicked in, which is what happens when you get stressed. Under stress, our less than perfect default behaviors just kick in naturally. Right. And so a leader that's intentional, that is aware of their triggers and hot buttons, are going to be more effective leaders. And leaders, really good leaders, are really good at listening.
To what degree do you use those programs like DISC and other things to put people together? Are you a believer in those personality profiles with regard to leadership training and then hiring also with leaders?
Both for leadership development and professional leadership plans, and also hiring. So you can use, good quality assessments for hiring. They just need to be EEOC compliant.
Right.
But, and also for leadership development, I use assessments like the Energy Leadership Index or the TTI Trimetrics DNA, which is DISC, motivators, and competencies all rolled into one. It's a fabulous report. It's like 60 pages. But we use that as a springboard, awareness springboard, to help our leaders craft a specific, personalized leadership plan. And so they get to look at the report and say, well, yeah, you know what, I could move the needle here to be a better leader. And this would be, if I could just be a little bit more effective here, this would make a huge impact to my ability to lead. So we use those assessments as a way to inform our leadership development plan.
In regard to triggers, what are some examples of the common triggers that you see in workplaces?
Well, I see a lot of people being triggered by people who are unreliable. Managers, they go, yeah, she told me she was going to do this, and then 2 weeks later, I haven't seen this report. That's a big trigger. Hostile people is one of my triggers. Hostile people really trigger me. And I'm also triggered by people who want to micromanage me. And that's kind of why I've kind of been a serial entrepreneur rather than in the corporate space, though I understand the corporate space, having been an internal and external coach in many organizations. So that's important to know what your triggers are. And there's about 9 different triggers that you can identify through an assessment we call the conflict dynamics profile, which allows you take this profile and you figure out, okay, which one of those triggers are most alarming to me? And everyone's different.
It would seem if you had a close team that you were working with, it might be good to know all of your triggers.
Exactly.
so that you know what not to set off and what's going to set someone off.
That's why a DISC assessment with the team as a team building exercise is a lot of fun, because what that teaches you is how to communicate across DISC styles. And you get to know all your coworkers' DISC styles, and you get to know, okay, well, John, likes really succinct, concise emails. Just give him a 2-sentence email. He's happy.
Right.
And then Susie, who's a high S, likes to have a little, coffee talk and little, weather talk,
right,
and connect with her as a person before you get into the hard, cold facts.
Earlier, you spoke about the importance of language. Is there a language for leadership?
There really is. And I kind of joke is the best leaders know when to shut up. I really think that listening is so important to leadership that, one of the best things you can do is just actively listen. And the other thing is really, again, just, I think, connecting, empathy and connecting to the person and seeing them as a whole person rather than just a number or just somebody who's, going to execute.
No, I think it's great to see empathy and compassion being brought into, the work environment and being that a part of our work strategies to make the team work more efficiently, because that's always been my style, and I don't know, I think it can make us all more profitable and balance. we need that. We need empathy and compassion. We need to care about each other.
And I think another thing that's really important is to know what your values are. I always do a values clarification with my leaders so they can identify the top 5 values that are most important to them. And then I show them how they can brand around those values and create a leadership brand around those values. Because once I know what your values are, I really get you.
That is true. And we talked about that in the 7 o'clock hour with Dr. Ron there. He was like, you got to know what your core values are when it comes to leading a group of people and everything. And a lot of people, if you ask them what your core values are, I don't know. I believe that. And they don't really know and stuff. So it's important that you take an assessment of yourself. Ask yourself that today. What are your 5 core values that everything else seems to center around? And you'll learn more about yourself.
Ultimately, our mission should be geared around those core values and what our main principles are.
Absolutely. Currently talking again to Laura Scott. She is the president and founder of 180 Coaching. You can learn more about her at 180coaching.com. Or if you could use her services, send her an email to info@180coaching.com. Coming back from the break, we're going to talk about things you must never do if you want to be a good leader on That Business Show with Jamie and Kelly, where business becomes show business.
Have you ever tried to buy a home for your family only to find out that you don't qualify for a mortgage loan? You thought that after 20 years as a customer of your bank, they would help you when you needed it the most, right? Unfortunately, the banks of today are not the banks of our parents and grandparents, and our relationships with them just don't matter anymore. My name is Frank Cotto, and I'm the president of the Lincoln Lending Group. We all may need a bank, but we also need a Frank, and that's what I'm here to do for you today. Lincoln Lending Group will waive all of your lending fees, which include your mortgage, application fee, your underwriting fee, processing fees, and any bank points. Just call 813-MORTGAGE. You drop the E, and we'll drop the fee.
In an age when the good and the better vie for attention, it is the best that stands out. The best of Tampa Bay from Proudly Florida is the love story for the city of Tampa, celebrating success, sharing achievements, a tribute to enterprise and community spirit. Let Proudly Florida showcase your business to your city, your nation, and the world. For more information, email info@proudlyflorida.com and be sure to visit proudlyflorida.com.
How many times have you said to yourself, I wish there was an app for that? Stop wishing and start making the world better. Turn your brilliant idea into a profitable business by using Popcorn apps. Their affordable app design will help get your blue sky idea or proven business to the next level at a fraction of the cost of other developers. They will help you get through all the steps needed to make your thoughts become live. See them at popcornapps.com with a K in popcorn, or call them at 727-415-6705 for your free consultation and pop your kernel of an idea into $1 million business and a world changer starting today.
Teresa Turner is a certified public accountant and the founder of Tax Happens, a boutique-style CPA firm providing small businesses and individuals with hands-on, personalized tax and accounting services. Although we would love to tell you how happy their clients are, we would like you to see for yourself. Tax Happens has 21 Google reviews and a 4.8-star Google rating, 17 Yelp reviews and a 5-star Yelp rating, 38 Facebook reviews and a 4.9-star Facebook rating. What sets Tax Happens apart is number 1, upfront pricing, 2, clear deadlines, 3, personally available year-round, and number 4, a willingness to empower clients to do as much or as little as they desire. Visit taxhappens.com for more information.
Did you know the biggest challenge business leaders face today is creating an engaged and productive workforce culture? Bill Meyer Ham Consulting wants to help you solve this challenge. They will help you transform your workforce culture to produce amazing business results. Call Bill Meyer Ham Consulting at 941-201-4650 today or visit billmeyerham.com. That's billmeyerham.com. Have a conversation.
I knew Mom wanted to stay at home. It's the center of her family, her life. But helping Mom stay in her home while managing mine was just too much. Honestly, it wasn't just about me. Mom didn't want me to be her caretaker. She wanted me to be her daughter. I felt so alone until I found out about Home Instead Senior Care. When we met the people at Home Instead, we just knew they were different. The experience was personal. And most importantly, for Mom and me, I get to be her daughter again.
Home Instead Senior Care. To us, it's personal.
At Vein 911, we will help you feel great again. Do you have restless legs, night leg cramps, or ankle swelling? Restless legs, cramping, swelling, and tired heavy legs are often symptoms of hidden vein disease. You do not have to have visible bulging veins to have the symptoms of vein disease. The vein care specialists at Vein 911 are uniquely qualified to evaluate and treat your veins. Are you unhappy with your previous vein treatment? Vein 911 succeeds where others fail. Call Vein 911 today at 855-VEIN-911. That's 855-834-6911 to book your free consultation. Vein 911. We will help you feel great again.
From the Spectrum Traffic Center.
Crash in Tarpon Springs at US 19 Tarpon Avenue now clear. Traffic still slow, though, in the southbound direction from alternate 19. Heavy traffic on westbound I-4 from just west of 301 to 275. Also a crash on State Road 60 just east of I-75, one on 301 in Causeway, and one being cleared on southbound Dale Mabry south of Bush. See traffic problems, call the injury firm of Abrahamson Uter, Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line 86.
This report is brought to you by Foundation for a Better Life.
This is water. Can you feel this, Helen? Yes, water! Helen, it's water!
Deaf and blind, Helen Keller overcame her world of darkness. Foresight, pass it on. From the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
Today, mostly sunny, cool, and dry with a high 68. Tonight, mostly clear, low 45. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high 75.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie and Kelly on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Missed a show? Then head over to TampaBayRadio.com, where all shows are available on demand. Once again, here are your hosts, Jamie and Kelly.
And welcome back to That Business Show with Jamie and Kelly, where business becomes show business. To get on the program and learn more, visit TBSinterview.com. Also, more about the program over at TampaBayRadio.com. We are talking coaching with Laura Scott, who is the president and founder of 180 Coaching. And you can learn more at that site, which is 180coaching.com.
Okay, so Laura, as a leader, what are things that you should never do?
There's quite a few, but I'm going to give you
of a few
three
myself.
that come off the top of my head, and that is that I think there's quite a few, but I think one of the biggest ones is that you should never publicly shame somebody. I really think that's not going to serve you well, because not only are you going to really damage the relationship you have with the person you're shaming, but you'll also really scare everybody else in the room into thinking that, oh my God, I'm going to be the next victim of this. And so it really erodes trust and creates fear in organizations. And I think there's no reason to do it. When I give advice on feedback, I just say, if you have some feedback to give, take that person aside and privately give them that feedback, and not publicly, disparage them.
That's definitely a good. Definitely can agree with that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think the other one is really to not make a promise that you cannot keep, that you cannot keep. I call this the campaign promise. We've seen this a lot, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, we see this, and and that's why our public confidence in politicians is so low. Mm-hmm. Because they keep on doing this. They promise something and they never deliver. And that's really not, you don't want to have the reputation for doing that as a leader.
No, I think what's really bad is when they continuously do this. It's one thing if you have good intentions and you really, like you would want to think that the presidential candidates really had good intentions and hope that they can do what they do. But if you're just making promises, obviously, with knowing that there's no way, that you could do certain things. Not that that's different, making one right and one not. Anyway.
Now you talk about making promises that you cannot keep, do not public shame. What's another example of something you shouldn't do?
The one that erodes trust and confidence a lot is nepotism or favoritism. I think that's really important, and you'll see this all the time, particularly sometimes in smaller businesses or family businesses. And if you have a son or a daughter or a son-in-law or daughter-in-law that you love and you want to promote and they really bring good skills, that's great and that's fine. But you want to make sure that you're treating them exactly how you would treat every other employee. So if they're, if you have a 2-week vacation policy and they're looking to get that 3rd or 4th week paid or unpaid, don't do it. Be clear about what your expectations are. And if there's any behavior that you're not tolerating, don't tolerate it across the board.
And you use the term nepotism, which is, again, the hiring of a family when you're in a leadership position.
Exactly. So. And that happens, and that's fine, particularly in small family businesses. You see that all the time. You just want to be very careful about that you're treating everybody the same, and there's some fairness and level of expectations across the board.
What are common traits of the best leaders that you've encountered?
Going back to the values, I feel more confident when a leader is clear about their values and wears their values on the sleeve and walks the talk. I also feel very safe when you've got a leader that's respectful, compassionate, and just a little bit vulnerable, who's willing to admit some mistakes. I find a lot of times the old leadership style is we had 6 people on the C-suite and you get 6 the smartest men in the room kind of thing.
Right.
That generally does not work very well. And so you want to have somebody who says, you know what, I screwed up. I'm going to fix it. Thank you for your patience. And just leave it at that.
Kind of like what we were talking about yesterday, about the Miss America pageant.
With Steve Harvey's mistake last year?
Yeah,
oh, yeah, we were talking about that yesterday, how he had to come out and own his mistake. He could have chosen to stay in the back and do a press release the following morning. But
how did you feel about Steve Harvey afterwards?
Oh, I respected him. I mean, he makes mistakes. Of course, it was a pretty big mistake. But,
it was.
Nonetheless, he did own it and didn't really hurt him too much other than just the initial embarrassment and having Miss Columbia mad at him.
Right.
But I think he got invited back for this year. I think it's right around the corner. I don't think it hurt him or anything.
Sure.
Oh, did he get invited back?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
It was great publicity at the end of the today for the pageant.
Oh, I guess it was.
It was, yeah.
Yeah,
we all heard about that.
Yeah, the only person that was really ultimately hurt by that whole thing was poor old Miss Columbia, who experienced a moment of instant joy only to have it taken away from her.
Well, that was just a great example of someone that was leading that show, but then came out and said, you know what, I messed up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We all mess up. I mean, nobody's perfect. You know?
But like Jamie said, he could have waited and just, announced something the following day to kind of stay out of it.
Yeah, because he really had a short amount of time
to
do it, too. They announce it. They usually go off air like 2 minutes later and everything.
Right.
So, I mean, he came back on, and he made an instant decision to come out and do that. And speaking of quick decision making, how would you rank quick decision making on the chart of, a good quality to have with regard to leadership?
I think it's important, but also making decisions that are congruent with your values so people understand. So even if I don't agree with your decision, if I know it's coming from your core values, I get it. I understand that. And I'll anticipate it. When, I'll say, well, he's not going to make that decision because it's not congruent with his values. You kind of know, this is how Jamie rolls, right? And I think that builds trust. And so that's really important, to be congruent with your values, but also be a decisive person. I think that's important. People that are flip-flopping all the time on decisions really create environments that are unstable or a little iffy, and we want to know where we're going. We want to have a clear vision. So clarity is so important as to where we're going and how are we going to be more congruent with our values going forward. I find that you're going to, in terms of employee retention, this is where leaders sometimes fail. Is I know from experience that there's usually two reasons why a person who loves their work quits. One is a toxic boss, and one is when you're being asked to do something that's incongruent with your values. People will leave. So leaders that ask people to do things they're not comfortable doing, that are incongruent with their values, you got to really rethink that.
Got 1 minute left. If there is one thing we can work on to be more effective as leaders, what would that be?
I think just listen, actively listen, and really be clear about what you really want to do. Have some sort of personal vision around the leadership and what you want to create, and co-create. And I think that's important. So in order to really be the best leader you can be, is just being able to listen effectively, and also managing your triggers and living your values. I think that's the key thing I'll leave you with.
All right. Good discussion on this early Monday morning. Laura Scott, thank you so much for being in studio.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And again, she's the president and founder of 180 Coaching. Learn more at 180coaching.com. Or if you can use her services, send her a message to info@180coaching.com. And if you'd like to come onto the program, please visit tbsinterview.com. Hope everybody has a great rest of their day, and we'll see you back in here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. on That Business Show with Jamie and Kelly, where business becomes show business.
Thank you.